What is shaking, Internet? This is Saltz bringing you the How to Tank for Dummies Jin'rokh the Breaker LFR guide. Jin'rokh is the first boss in the first quarter of the Throne of Thuder raid guide, or I believe the last stand of the Zandalari LFR. As always, we'll cover the trash first. There is quite a bit of trash before Jin'rokh, although in LFR it's mostly just tank and spank. I would advise not pulling more than one mob at a time, as they can really overwhelm you and do a lot of damage. Feel free to use your cooldowns, as they should be back up by the time that you get to the boss. Watch for the snakes near the end, before the last mini-boss, as they'll appear out of the bushes. The mini-boss is relatively simple, just don't stand near any big electric fields or people that are being electrified if you can help it. As for Jin'rokh himself, he is a 2-tank fight with a single repeating phase. First, let's cover his basic moves. The first and most important to the tanks is Static Burst. This ability happens pretty frequently, and basically the tank should swap every time it hits the main tank. It deals a good chunk of damage, and then if the tank with Static Burst gets hit by a melee attack, you will do a good chunk of damage to the entire raid. This just means that whenever the main tank gets hit by Static Burst, off-tank should taunt immediately. Next up is the big mechanic of Thundering Throw and Conductive Water. At the beginning of each phase, or around 30 seconds into the fight, Jin'rokh will pick up his tank and throw them at a statue, stunning them for a small chunk of time, and creating a pool of water where they land. This pool of water is a conductive water zone, and basically increases damage and healing done, and more importantly, damage taken while standing in the pool. That being said, tanks should never stand in these pools while tanking the boss. DPS and healers, however, should stand in it as much as possible. Another ability Jin'rokh has is his lightning orbs. He will regularly summon these orbs that fixate on random players and hunt them down. They only fixate on ranged DPS and healers, so it shouldn't be something you worry about as a tank at all. But I'll explain them briefly either way. Basically, these orbs hunt someone down and explode when they reach their target. If that target is standing in a pool, it will do a lot more damage, not only to the player, but basically the rest of the raid as well, leading to wipes if too many people don't move. Additionally, when they blow up, they leave this small pool of lightning out that does damage to anyone nearby, but are easily avoided. However, very more importantly, if one of the lightning orbs they leave that is chasing someone, if one of the lightning orbs that's chasing somebody gets close to one of these pools that's left behind by a dead lightning pool, then the entire raid will get massive damage. Again though, none of this stuff should matter to you as a tank, except that you should stay away from the little lightning pools. One final move that Jin'rokh has is Lightning Storm. About a minute and a half after a pool spawns, Jin'rokh will cast Lightning Storm, which does a good chunk of damage to the entire raid for about 15 seconds. This damage is worse for those that are standing in the pools, so don't stand there. Additionally, at the end of the cast, he'll electrify the pool that was just spawned, making it deal a lot of damage to anyone standing in it. This just means that no one should ever be standing in that pool anymore for the rest of the fight. While the storm is going off, it's best to stand in the middle and group up for AoE healing right around the boss. A little after he casts Lightning Storm, he'll do another Thundering Throw and create a new pool, thus restarting the phase. After 4 pools are electrified, you will have no more room and you will pretty much be dead. So don't let that happen. So for a tank, let's recap what you need to do. Switch tanks as soon as the main tank gets Static Burst to avoid lots of raid-wide damage. Avoid little lightning pools. Don't stand in any pools, the conductive water pools, while you're tanking the boss. And stack on the boss for his lightning storms. That's pretty much it. Cooldown should be used when you get hit by Static Burst, especially if the other tank is slow to taunt, because if you have the Static Wound debuff, which is the one you get from the Static Burst, you'll be taking bonus damage and damaging the entire raid whenever you get hit. Otherwise, you can use them during lightning storms, especially if they're a raid-wide cooldown. The differences I've noticed between LFR and normal are pretty minimal besides just higher percentages. The lightning orbs are the most tricky part of the encounter, and they're really not important to tanks. I hope you enjoyed this guide for dummies. Please like, favorite, subscribe, all that jazz, and as always, you keep it salty, Internet.